Thank you for joining us at Toy Fair University. Up next, we have WiT Tabletop Gaming Evolution, the new rules of retail, design, and engagement. Your moderator is Azhelle Wade from the Toy Coat. Azhelle?
Yes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, morning-ish. Today we are going to have a conversation in this panel about how tabletop gaming has evolved, how it has had an impact on community, fandom, and sales and distribution. And joining me today, we have Deirdre Cross. Welcome, Deirdre. We have Julien. We also have, everyone's like Danni Loe and Jennifer Graham. So we're going to get into community, sales, distribution, and all that. And today's panel is going to start by moving through three main topics. First, we'll cover the evolution of game design and IP development. Then we'll go on to the growing role of community in sales, both offline and on, and how this is impacting our retail distribution channels. All right. So first, I want to bring up the fact that a recent Circana report said that U.S. toy sales were up 16% from 2025 since 2020. And we saw that one of the categories outperforming was actually our category that collectibles and licensing and fandom. So Deirdre, I'd like to start with you. Early in your career, you were a partner at Forest Present Creative. You also moved on to Funko, then you were at Moose for some time. I would love to hear, have you seen over the years how games have been integrating more storytelling in their development or less?
Yeah, thank you. It's so great to see everybody out here this afternoon as well. It's been really interesting, and of course, for many of us who've been in the industry, 10 or more years, the storytelling has changed a lot, right? And how licensing has evolved in the game space. And I think very much, what we're seeing right now in the storytelling is the energy at the table and how people are focusing on that with party games, and kind of that the story in many ways becomes the story that we're building ourselves together at the table, and that's kind of what we're seeing in the trend space.
I do want to talk a question that I want to open up to the whole panel. Why do you think that the categories of licensing and fandom and collectibles are growing exponentially right now? Why is it resonating with consumers more today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's the rise of kidults, the kids who are adults that are playing, they're collecting, they're embracing their inner child a lot later and continuing to play. And I think that's really influencing the collectibles. Just to go back on the storytelling, though, one of the things that's really important with party games and that type of game is when you create that game, you need to think about what kind of story that's going to tell on social media. What's the payoff? And that story needs to play into a social environment to get the new type of audience that you're wanting to capture.
Yeah, I think that the answer is, for me, what I see is games are easy. Licensed products are easy. People have to make a wide variety of complex decisions, and a million of them on a daily basis. So these products, the easier they are to say yes to, the easier the appeal, the more likely you are to get people at the table. And anytime a game like Flip 7 or even Uno, honestly, it's a yes because it's already been a yes. That is has a massive impact on somebody's likelihood to sit down at the table.
I think right now society is also very tumultuous, and we're all looking for happiness and security, which we find through community and other people. Licensed products, toys, they're all lower price point. You get a quick hit of dopamine that you can share with your loved ones and friends. So
yeah.
And people are modeling that on social media as well, and I think there's a huge appeal to having that modeled, and speaks to that ease to the table as well.
And there is that dopamine hit when you look at a trading card game. Those are really popular right now. Those led the game category. That cracking of a pack is really, really fun when you open it up and see what you get. So definitely a dopamine hit and a very easy buy.
So, Julien, I want to ask you, I know you've designed your own games. In fact, Disruptus is in my living room. We play that. We enjoy that at home. So I'd love to know, is there more or less of a trend of companies wanting original IP or just wanting to license and create licensed goods?
I think it depends on the team that you have. The teams in the toy industry and the game industry and design are really fluid. You might notice the team that you have one day is very different than the next season, what you have, what the season is asking for. So it depends. Like if one thing that's consistent is the inconsistency of what buyers want in major stores from season to season to season. So if you have the team to accommodate it in-house, you can do it that way. But a lot of times you're caught going, oh, wow, I need to bring in some other outside ideas to fill that retail need.
Yeah, I'm curious. What triggers your knowing that now is the time to bring something new versus now is the time to get that K-pop Demon Hunter license? Like, what triggers that knowing?
Well, I'm really excited about K-pop Demon Hunter. I can tell you that. We have a couple of great products coming out with that, but it is...
Now we sing.
dance.
Now we
dance.
sing.
Do it.
No, yeah, no.
Cue the track. No, I lost track of the question by waiting
How
for
do you
Deirdre
know-
to start dancing.
How do you know when it's time to bring a buyer something new or bring them that K-pop Demon Hunter license?
Okay, I'll take this first. I think you need to show a combination of both. When you're sitting and you have that precious time in front of the buyer, you want to bring what's trendy. If you have something, first to market is so important. That's why it's really important you have team members or people with the curiosity and the reading and looking around to kind of bring that to the table internally so that you're ready to hit that trend. But also, there's nothing wrong with seeing new. There's always a space on the shelf for something new. Again, the bigger payout that you can make that's going to be a nice social media moment, the more interest that can be to a buyer.
From a publishing perspective, to add to this, I think that it's so important to be able to ground yourself and know that you can tell a story first and have a solid product that is not licensing based before diving into the licensing space because the pressure is that much higher. So I think it's important to actually, like, when are you doing one versus the other? I think you should be. You should have an evergreen of your own first before going license.
And I would also say I'm probably on the opposite coin from Jen. This is why they had to separate us, actually.
Because we'd fight.
Because we fight. But for me, I've worked on a lot of licensed product over the years and really especially had the privilege of Moose Games. We do a lot for Bluey, right? And, coming into it and being like, how can we translate that story, meeting with our partners at BBC and then our retail partners to bring innovation to a license that is super popular and a lot of people are innovating against it. How can you stand out in that space? And that's another important thing to bring to retail from the license perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, Deirdre, we've had a lot of conversations about licensed games, and it's always so important, you say, like, to make sure that the game feels like the experience you have with a license. Like, we talked about Disney theme park rides, and we talked about so I love that. And I'm thinking about the community, how you always touch base with the community when you're developing these games. And now we're seeing communities really influence what we bring to market, what we develop, what we start. So what would you have to say about how does the inventor community, often big publishers are putting a call to action to designers. They're asking them to identify opportunities that are coming out in the community. Have you seen that?
Oh, for sure. And, being both having experience inside and outside of that cycle, those for the inventor community, when the publishing houses are, very clear on these are the things that we're looking for, and as an inventor, you can look at those and say, yes, and right, where am I bringing innovation to what they're looking for in, the different sort of trendscaping that, we all have different perspectives and different things that we're watching. And I think that's a really important part of it.
Do you have anything to add on how online communities, Danni, are influencing game development, game design?
Other influences?
Yeah.
I think right now there's a huge reliance, in a good way, on content creators, social media. That's how you can reach communities through viral ability. That levels the playing field, no matter how big your company is, how big your budget is. If you have one success online, you reach a whole new customer base, and that can boost your business for weeks, months, years. So there's a lot more innovation, a lot more new voices due to online communities.
And I would add, there's a whole new commerce opportunity right now from the for the creative community and the content creators, and that's the TikTok shop. That is changing everything. I mean, we have Amazon and that, but there's a small game company that can hit a viral video and sell that right on TikTok. They're building that, really building that out. And I think it's really important for people that are starting either their own business or thinking about whether you're a big company or a small, really truly pay attention to what's happening on TikTok in commerce.
Danni, you brought up a great point about how we're leaning so heavily on content creators, and because of that, a lot of content is being created, and we're helping with that. So let's all fast forward 2 years when the online world is just saturated with content that is stealing everyone's attention. We're all fighting, we're all following the same script for getting attention. How are we going to stand out? What's actually going to change? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
So I have arguments with fellow marketers about how many times a message needs to get in front of a consumer. And when I started in the business, and I'm going to age myself, it was 3. The rule of thumb, whether it was a newspaper ad or a billboard or something like that, was you had to see it 3 times. People are saying 7 now. I argued with my team even. I think that's not exactly right. I think it's 10 and more. And I think the idea is, what is the quick message? Everybody wants a quick soundbite. The more clever and quick you can get the point across, you're just not going to have enough time. There's going to be so many messages out there. Get the key message out there first, and very, very pithy, so people can remember it.
There's also, we talk about this often, relying on your partners more and more. Right now, you're focusing internally on your own team. What can you do? But also, what can the people you work with, your distributors, your retailers, your localizers, what can they do to spread that message so your bandwidth is not limited just to your team?
That is a perfect segue to community. We all must work together. And I mean, not just us in the industry working together internally, but we have to work with our communities to sell our products. So once these products are developed and designed, Danni, what are some ways that we can use social media to reach our community and increase sales?
Social media is a form of communication. You're opening a dialogue with your community, asking them what they want, what their feedback is, what they like, what they don't like, and refining your product this way. Going back to content creators, you can also use them to trial and error and figure out how their communities are responding before you take these projects on for yourself. Your teams are of various sizes, so you might as well use them as your guinea pigs, and just observe and talk to each other.
And 3 years ago, that wasn't the case. It wasn't our primary driver, correct? So how much has community buzz and online engagement actually impacted sales? Have you actually seen partnering with a creator directly impact sales, or is it just a theory? Is it just something we think will work?
I don't think that So I ran a test at one point with Keymaster, and I gave people trackable links, content creators, because I wanted to know what the direct conversion is. And that number was very, very low. This was a couple years ago. But the point is that they are one piece of the puzzle, and they are a huge piece of the puzzle because it's where we spend so much of our times. In fact, I find it ironic that I'm on Instagram, and Instagram is selling me ads from other apps that are telling me to get off of Instagram, but it's ads. It's like, but how would you have found me if I wasn't here? So it's a loop. You're never going to get out of it. So that conversion, I would talk to content creators and I'd be like, hey, if you were just that one piece, if it was just you, I would never pay you for anything, because there wouldn't be any value in this. But it's clear that you are a part of a cog in a wheel, and there's never going to be any clear direct correlation, I don't think, except for TikTok Shop. That's what the value of TikTok Shop is, because you can see those direct conversions. But otherwise, it's so hard to track the money. But you have to know that it's a really important piece of where somebody's attention is, where you're grabbing somebody's attention for the first time, or the 7th time, or that golden 10th time.
Julien, you seem really excited about TikTok Shop. Do you have anything to share?
Well, no, I don't. I'm still, actually, it's a big deal. My team knows I won't stop talking about TikTok Shop, and we are in the process of of working in that. So I just think I saw recently some sales stats of what some of my smaller game companies, bigger game companies are doing on a monthly basis, and it was shocking. So I am in distribution, so I see that where are the sales, and how are we going to how's the best place to make that sale. I would, just to go back to community, a little different than the online, is one of the areas that we work in Asmodee US is we have a very big channel that you don't get to monitor on Circana, and that is the hobby channel. And when you say hobby channel, that's there's between 4,000 and 5,000 different individual stores that are all over the country. They play very specific type games. They do carry a wide array of games, but these stores, when we call them hobby stores, they have tables and community. There is a community there built of people that go to what they call their FLGS, their friendly local game store. And that's where they play trading card type of games. They play miniature type of games, role-playing games, all kinds of games that take a lot of time. But that's also, I think, that community has stayed alive during, even COVID. They went online. They played on Board Game Arena. But I think that other communities are growing around games, not just like that, but in that element. There are communities that are now mahjong clubs. Martha Stewart had an article the other day, how to host your best self at your mahjong party. There is instead of just a board game cafe in New York now, there's a backgammon
I was going to say the backgammon, the New York City Backgammon Club.
Just backgammon. So there's communities growing. I think they're taking something of the hobby channel's playbook and making these communities around analog experiences. To go back to Danni, it is a little stressful out there right now, and I think that feeling of play and not just doing it sitting at home like we did at COVID, but actually going out and making friends and building that community there. That's not really viral, but sure, there's a lot of Instagram moments of people at their clubs and their parties.
You know what's even better? I love the reference to the Martha Stewart thing. Is the backgammon club here? That backgammon club is all about dressing up. You actually like dress up to go out to this thing. So it's like a high class, a high brow experience that you're having. And I love that there's this transformative I'm excited and proud to come to the table and meet somebody new or spend time with people that I love.
So what I'm hearing, if we recap what's happening in tabletop gaming right now, we've got in-person events being brand builders and brand stabilizers to not only define the brand, but also define the community around the brand. Then we've got online content creators like on Instagram who are helping new people discover the brand. We're kind of building brand discovery, maybe reminding people we exist. But then we have things like TikTok Shop that make it really easy to buy when you see an ad, when you see something, and that's where maybe our conversions can easily happen outside of the store. So like what you're saying to your point of like having this be like multi-channel, and you also said this, multi-channel, people really need to be thinking, okay, how am I building my brand identity? How am I converting easily? And then how am I being discovered? And that's like kind of the ecosystem.
If I've never played a game at the table before and somebody's trying to tell me Flip 7, and I've never heard of Flip 7, I have no idea, and this is a really low stakes product, right? But if I've never heard of that before, I need to see somebody else looking cool and having fun doing that thing before I'm going to invest even $8. It's an $8 card game.
Right.
And there's still a barrier of entry there. There's a lot of uncertainty about if my time, which is the most valuable thing that I have, is well spent.
Yes.
I think all of our products are experiential products where you have to buy it before you try it. So relying on word of mouth, other people having experienced this product before you is the best marketing you can do. And that's why we rely on content creators and your friends and your FLGS to make those recommendations for you.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I first discovered Skyjo, the game Skyjo. It's huge. They invest huge on social media, or actually Amazon advertising. But I remember it was really huge with New Jersey mom groups when I lived in New York. And that's where it kind of got, you probably...
Represent.
Yes, there you go. Thank you so much. But it was huge amounts of people playing this game because they heard about it, and it just became a vibe. And that just grew out of nowhere. So,
love it. No, that's great. So, show of hands, how many of you have seen retailers actually pay attention to the size and engagement of online communities when choosing to buy a product? Oh, interesting. Okay. What are some of those conversations? Any bites you want to share from those conversations? Or what makes them more interested? How is there a number? Are they looking for a certain number of engagement or number of followers?
What I've experienced is, they will. Our retail buyers are, of course, watching much of the same stuff we are, right? And especially if they're in the game category. And you very much hear, like, I see that this is trending. I see that this certain, game, and it might be something that, especially if they're talking with a distributor like a Asmodee or even a Moose Games that also picks up product and distributes, is, can you go get that from me? Because it's from a smaller company. And so that happens quite a bit, is that stuff will be trending in those other channels and then escalate up into the visibility of the buyers organically even. And of course, when their sales are trending at Amazon, it's very visible for everyone.
Yeah, Amazon used to be pretty much the only sort of online thing. You could go, if you wanted to get it into a brick and mortar channel, you go, look at the sales on Amazon. But now you've got those other stats, those other views, those number of followers. And it's a really good point, though. A small game could go completely viral and sell a whole bunch, let's just say Amazon. But usually if you're a 1 or 2 games, it's a little difficult to get into a Target and get set up. So they do oftentimes then send it to a distributor and say, hey, we'd like to carry this game. But I will say the most important thing, that big shift in retail sales, is that before it was more up to the buyer and the store. They decided to buy something, a product, and they decided to bring it in. And once you made your sale as a seller, as a wholesaler, you were done. You made your sale. But the onus now is on the seller to also have a very big part of sell out in funding, in however you do it, whether it's that social media following or something like that. A lot more responsibility. You don't get to just say, I made my sale and go home. That's why we watch Circana. We look at sell out. Even though we aren't responsible for selling it, we're not holding the store, some of us, but it's really, it's our responsibility to make sure that game is going to sell out to the consumer.
And that makes retailers, I'm co-owner in a retail shop, it makes us hesitant to bring stuff in. We do have to be really conservative. We are looking at the numbers. I would say that if a game is selling, 1,000 or 2,000 a month units on Amazon, then you're probably too late in terms of, it depends on, is it even accessible to me? Can I buy it and bring it in? At some point, you do have to be willing to take a risk. But I like to say that I want to be second to market because I want there to be proof that this product, in my small space, I only have so many square feet that I can put a game out on my shelves. So it has to be turning. I have to be moving, at least 3 to 5 copies from that space a month in order for it to be justified. Otherwise, it's going to get taken over by another product.
And
Julien, go ahead.
Sorry, Azhelle.
No, please.
In that sense, the relationship to get people into your store, they're being marketed to by the publisher, by the vendor, bring people into the brick and mortar space. For the brick and mortar store to order product, their distributor is marketing towards them.
Yeah.
So
Danni.
it's this reverse figure 8 situation where the publisher is giving information one way, B2B, but also they're doing a lot of their marketing efforts toward the end consumer, even though they're not buying directly from them.
So interesting. Are you seeing now, Julien, this one's for you. Are you seeing now that retailers are asking for marketing spend, specifically social media marketing spend?
They're looking for whatever's going to work if you're going to invest. So if you show them the plan, almost you show your marketing, you can do it 2 ways. Some wanted to see it, every product that you show, here's the marketing plan behind it. In some cases, you come in and you bring the marketers in first to actually go, here's our plan overall. So it's really important, be where the retailer, where the buyer wants to see. But yeah, you've got to show either your spend or your already reach. So you do need to do that.
What, you want to add to it, Deirdre? Please.
No, I'm just like snaps. That's just like, Julien, you're on it. That's it. You're exactly right. Yeah. Coming in with the marketing plan and knowing what your hook in your strategy to connect and pull that product through is so essential. It's got to move off the shelf and it's got to move fast. They're not patient. They can't be. It's got to move. And that's what we're here for.
It's so interesting because we're talking about how community has changed over the years in regards to tabletop gaming, but it's community and sales. They're so intertwined now. So Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's a really important metric that we look at if we're selling into bigger store chains, and that's UPSPW. And it's units per store per week. And that's a really, really important metric because they have to justify, the buyer has to justify to their boss that space. And if it's not turning and if you're not making enough money on that space, it's not personal, it's business. And they need to find things that are. And it becomes even more important on a single location that has that brick and mortar, the rent to pay. That space is paying the rent. So if the game just sits there, it's really difficult to justify having it. So.
Okay, this is going to get a little bit more technical, but I'm curious if you know. So years ago, the iOS 14 update changed how we can retarget with ads, right? So now it's harder to like retarget someone if they're in if they visited your site a certain number of times. I'm curious, have you seen or know if anyone that is targeting stores geographically with a very tight radius to promote a product being sold in that store to make sure they get the turnover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. You can
Yeah.
you can geofence what
store.
you're a store. You could geofence the buyers.
Yeah, so
I've heard of that.
Keymaster's key product is a game called Parks. We targeted ads to games outside or to locations just around all of the national parks in the U.S.
I love
absolutely.
Yeah, because
And you see it. I mean, you even see it in regular media buys. It's the same thing, right? Where they would target certain geographic locations.
but you can get now.
But you can get so
specific.
I've done product before where working with a partner who was looking at adjacent category sales for trends based on licenses, and then geolocating to figure out by zip code which retail stores to put them in. And that's because it's like this show is only watched in these zip codes, and then just put the product in those zip codes. Like I never even worked on the product, never saw it in Seattle because we weren't the zip code.
But because we have so many people now in the ecosystem, it's getting expensive. So you do have to be very narrow with where you spend your money. So yeah.
Exactly. You cannot, the cost to reach everybody and try to see what sticks, it's not cost efficient. And there's tools now not to have to do that. But you have, there's many different services, some that are offered through the retailers. You can partner with them for a fee. There's marketing where you could go into a major big box store, and because you have your location service on, and because you're part of the, the buying or the thing that consumers can join for that retailer, you could be standing in a shelf and it'll say, hey, there's a special on X. We noticed you bought that over on aisle X. I mean, it gets down to there. If you're willing, you can opt out of those things. Nobody's going to be allowed to bombard anybody's phone if you turn off your location or you don't want to have those notifications. But if you're open to receiving those messages will find you.
It will find you. Were you going to add to it? No. No. Okay, well, I'm actually going to go to you next, Jen. So we're talking about, there's like two ways to approach your games these days, right? So you can, after you get the sale, you're marketing like crazy to make sure you get the sell through, so you get the second sale. But then when people are creating their own product from scratch, how early should they maybe be thinking about just building a community of people that want to buy?
Yeah, I think you always have to be thinking about community, because if you're not thinking about community, then you're not building your product right? Like at the core of building a product, you have to be thinking about a target audience. The question is really, when are we getting them involved? When are we starting to talk to them? And from personal experience, I have put product marketing out in front of people that we didn't end up printing. And that's a feel-bad moment. It actually is pulling from the savings account that I have with my community. There's a lot of distrust when you can't actually get across the finish line with a finished product. And so it's a slippery slope of when is the right moment. But what is good about starting to build your community, starting to engage early, is that you can test what your messaging is. These are people who have the potential to become your evangelists, and there is no more valuable person in the world to sell your product than a product evangelist. So it's really important to find those people and engage them and make them feel special as early as you can. But you want to be careful that you haven't overpromised and then underdeliver that product as well.
You are all very instrumental in building the tabletop community at WiT, all of you. Every single one.
These two right here.
Especially these two at the end, Danni and Jen. So was there any part of building that community that was similar to building communities online?
Yeah, it's a trial and error, right? Like this is literally there are bringing a group in and then having an idea of what you want to be true, but then also being open. Our community is about continued learning, and so being open to that feedback and evaluating and continuing to improve has led to so many great conversations that if we had that door closed, we never would have had.
Danni?
I think the important part is that we also came in with a vision. We were very intentional about how we structured it. We provided structure to begin with, but left enough wiggle room to tweak things depending on how people reacted and what they asked for. So it's evolved collaboratively, but we didn't start with chaos. We started from a point.
I was chaos.
We balance each other out.
When you take that input from a community that you're growing, it becomes the community members' community, right? Rather than, okay, I go to this and then I leave. It's like, this is my community because I've had input in it, or I know even if I don't have any input, I know I can. I feel like my comments are heard, and I think that that's been a really important part of our tabletop community.
And I would say specifically for any of you who don't know exactly what community we are talking about, so WiT, if you're just joining us, WiT stands for Women in Toys, Licensing and Entertainment. And we're specifically talking right now about the tabletop community, which is a monthly virtual gathering, which is facilitated by Jen and Danni. And anyone can join in this as part of the WiT membership. But I'm a member of the community, not a facilitator in it. And for me, it's been so incredible because we get to join in these conversations and hear from our colleagues across the industry. And it's often a conversation like the one you're hearing here. Like people are coming in and saying like, how are you dealing with this change in the algorithm that's shifting, and it might be a whole topic based on that, or we have a guest speaker come in or something. It's an incredible resource that really connects us because there's so many of us spread across the country and the world doing game development in different ways, and it's really powerful. So thank you. Thank you for your work setting it up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining and being a part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're not done yet. Okay. Retail and distribution. We kind of touched on this a bit, but in 2026, Julien, what do you say is the top 3 rules for selling out in retail?
Okay, well, marketing. But also, I think it's really, really important to get the right product in and make sure that is for that consumer that is in that particular channel. So, I mean, yes, you can say we sell to every single channel there is, including TikTok. But the thing is that you have to have the right game in the right channel, and you have to have the right price point, because that's why you'll notice a lot of games that have become a franchise have many different price points, and you want to make sure to have the right price point for that particular audience.
And circling to you, Jen, what makes you trust that a publisher, is actually good for you and will actually help with that sell-through?
Yeah, I think that it's a whole package deal, and it's something that you can see. And if you're on the retail side of thing, I think part of survival is learning how to identify products that are the whole package, that come from a publisher who's got a clear marketing message that's helping you, that's giving you the tools that you need to put that product in your store, to display it well, to talk to your customers about it, to find ways to engage on it, to have those reference points, to have partnered with content creators and online and have done that marketing that will support people coming into the store and asking and being like, I've seen that on TikTok, and therefore I want to hear more about it from you.
Before we close, Danni, you had said something in our conversations before this that I think a lot of startups need to hear, that when you guys formed the WiT Tabletop Gaming community, that you were very intentional about splitting the work. And you said, like, we don't do everything every month. Like, one person will run the call this month, another person will run the next month. And I think that's a very good point I'd love you to bring back, because people want to do it all themselves. And we need to talk about how getting a team together really helps something have more longevity.
Sustainability is a big point that I've been focusing on in recent years. Burnout in the industry, especially in the tabletop games industry. Teams are small, budgets are small. The impact needs to be huge, right, to survive as a company. So having a plan, making sure sustainability, longevity, workload is balanced is super important so you can continue doing the things you need to do that your community is asking for without promising too much, under-delivering, and basically shooting yourself in the foot before you get started.
Love it. Yes, that's what you should take away as well. Love it. All right, to close us out, I would love to get a forward-thinking insight from each of you. Think about this. What do you believe will define success in tabletop gaming over the next 3 to 5 years? Raise your hand when you're ready. Julian.
I'm always ready. I always have something to say. No, I think following the licenses, following what the next generation of grown-ups are going to want, because I think keeping that, the kidult is not going away, but just saying a kidult right now likes this sort of thing, I think you need to watch what the kids that are maybe 13 and right now and 14 are going to want when they become adults or kidults. One thing too, I think that kids play really, really early. They play toys and they switch to kind of video games and cosmetics a lot earlier, but then you have to get them back. So how are you going to watch the life cycle of each, I wouldn't even say generation, because really and truly a generation can change every 5 years now. So what are they going to be interested in, and what's their play evolution? I think that's going to be really important.
That's great. Yeah, go, Deirdre.
And I would say the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to continue to see an ever greater pivot towards the discovery culture, which is what we're talking about with TikTok Shop and spaces like that, where people are, they're existing in their, maybe they're in a brain rot sort of thread, but they're continuing to see, they discover something that is promising to bring them away from their screen. And that's what we're making here. That's what all of us are, so many things that we're doing, that discovery for that part of their heart that they're looking to reconnect with other people. And if we can be there where they're discovering what they're going to do next, that's, I think, the key in 3 to 5 years.
Awesome. Danni?
I'll bring it back to warm and fuzzy feelings. Sustainability through collaboration. So relying on other people, asking for help, sharing your vision, and getting buy-in from your community, your partners, your coworkers, to make sure you can keep doing things as long as possible.
Jen.
And building the whole package and making it as beautiful as possible. I look around this room and I don't see anything that isn't eye-catching and calling for my attention. How are you standing out in the market? How are we capturing that attention? Well, it's going to require you to have a beautiful product. There is no room for less than that anymore.
Oh, it's a fantastic panel. We are going to wrap up our panel today, but I want to invite you to join us on the yellow couches for about 5 minutes. If you have any questions, we will be there. It has been a pleasure to share the insight, to share the couch with you ladies. I've learned a lot. Like while we were talking, I'm like, we didn't touch that. That's beautiful. That ecosystem that we defined, definitely something to keep in mind. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.